Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We want to welcome everybody to the 10th annual Candidates Night, sponsored by CNP, which is a group here in Stow called Citizens for Nonpartisan Politics. In Stow, we don't have partisan politics ever, in any which way. Well, we don't, but you can believe what you want to believe. But anyway, one of the things that I was explaining to one of our candidates, in the program, although many of them are involved in partisan races, we don't have any D's or R's or I's or anything like that after their name, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to listen to them. We're here to find out what they have to share with us as far as what they either want or what they are already representing. So, I mean, that's why we're here, to give you people a little bit better picture of the candidates who have chosen to join us this evening. I was joking again, saying this is not one of the sexiest evenings we've ever had, because in Stow, when we have local races and different things that come up in Stow, then the place is filled up. But of course there wasn't any COVID then either, and there wasn't, well, you know everything we're going through. I do want to make a few things clear as far as how we're handling things tonight. We did want everything spaced out. As you see, the chairs look kind of crazy, but we needed to have space between everybody seated. I will be wearing gloves because I will be handling things that I hand to each of the candidates. And I'm not going to use a mask because I'm only speaking right here, and I don't think it'll be a problem. I really don't. I would like to thank this year, here we are, the most difficult year that we have. And I have the best audio-visual setup that we've ever had. We've got a man from Kent State with us. We've got a retiree from the Kent State Communications Department with us. We have film at 11, well, or whatever time it will be. It will be on YouTube later on. We have the best setup that we've ever had. And as long as it makes me look good, that's all I really care about. I'm kidding. Also, there are always a few things that happen that we will address as they may or may not happen. I'll explain that later. Again, CNP in Stow, we are a group of people that are Democrats, Republicans, Independents, some people that we don't even know what they are, and it doesn't matter to us. But we'd like to sponsor this particular evening as a community outreach, and that's basically all that we want it to be. So tonight we're going to have different races. We do have some no-shows. We do have some people who are, their opponent is not going to be here, but we have made we have made a decision that if a person is here whose opponent is not here, we are still going to give him or her a chance to speak and answer 2 questions. It's what we want to do. So anyway, I know you would like to begin. You would like to get me to get started. What we will do is we will give each candidate 2 minutes to introduce himself or herself. They will then draw questions, which are in sealed envelopes in the basket. See, I touched it with a glove. It's okay. They will draw a question that they will get to read to themselves. I have a duplicate copy in front of me, which I will read to you, so that they have time to look it over. You have time to hear it. It makes a lot of sense. I've also explained to the candidates and to those who will be here up on the dais later, I will just pretty much go according to the program, the way they will introduce themselves. Then I will mix up how they answer the questions, okay? So with that in mind, I would like to get started with the 9th District Court of Appeals judge race. Julie Schaefer and Betty Sutton are our candidates that you see up here. We're going to start with Julie, who has 2 minutes. May I say Julie, or should I say judge? Julie. Julie, if you will give us 2 minutes worth about you.
Sure, thank you so much. Tom, thank you to the CNP and to the VFW for putting this event on this evening. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. First of all, I am your current judge of the 9th District Court of Appeals. It covers Summit, Wayne, Lorraine, and Medina counties. It's 4 different counties. It's 1.2 million people. In the time I've been on the court, for almost 6 years now, I've issued over 450 opinions. I've been on over 1,000 panels. We judge the trial court judges. Our job is to look at what happened at the trial courts and determine did they follow the rules correctly or not, and if there's a possibility that we can correct it, we will correct it. I am a former Akron Municipal Court judge. I served in the municipal court as well, so I've heard civil, criminal, and traffic cases through the Akron Municipal Court. For 12 years, I was an attorney. Prior to that, I practiced in juvenile, domestic, probate, and civil. I've represented parents in domestic and juvenile court for child custody cases, for child protective services cases, in domestic relations court, divorce, dissolution, child custody, child support, all of these, the things that we hear in our court now. I was elected 4 times to the Copley-Fairland Board of Education. This is my 7th nonpartisan election. I was a foster parent for 15 years. I've fostered over 30 children. I've adopted 3. I have a 37-year-old daughter who's a lawyer who practices in Wheeling, West Virginia. Again, of the 4 counties, I'm the only judge that does not reside in Summit County. I live in Wadsworth and Medina County. And the other thing that makes me unique is that I do have minor children. None of the other judges do. And I also am a chicken farmer. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. And I look forward to answering some questions and getting you the opportunity to know you better. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Now we go over to Betty Sutton. 2 minutes to tell us all about yourself. And go ahead.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me to this forum. I'm so honored to be here. I'm running for the 9th District Court of Appeals because my proven experience as a lawyer, a lawmaker, and an executive has given me unique insight into the law, how it should be interpreted and applied, and the importance of fairness and justice for everyone who comes before the court. Experience matters, and my legal experience is comprehensive, broad, and deep. I have been an attorney for nearly 30 years, working on both civil and criminal cases. I have represented hardworking Ohioans who keep us safe and healthy and educated. I'm proud of my work because I have fought to help parents and children and people who have been injured through no fault of their own. And I have represented people who work hard for our communities and our country, first responders and educators, nurses, others who just go to work every day to take care of themselves and their families and do right by our communities. And that commitment to people is reflected in some of the endorsements I've received from the Ohio Association of Professional Firefighters to the teachers at CTU. And I will not allow anyone to diminish that work because it really, really matters. They matter, and their representation and protecting their rights under the law matters. But my experience and legal work extends beyond traditional legal work to public service. Underlying all that I have done is my desire to help people and to serve. I have served in the Ohio House of Representatives as well as in the Congress. I have conducted hearings and analyzed legal issues. I have fought to increase justice and oversee the courts as a member of the Judiciary Committee. I also served as an executive in the presidential administration, leading the St. Lawrence Seaway Development Corporation, where I also resolved a wide array of legal issues to keep the Seaway open, the Great Lakes protected, and American families working. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you. All right, because things are a little different this year, I'm forgetting some of the things that I needed to remember. Yeah, we'll let them handle that. Thank you. No, well.
You know what? I want to ask you a question, both ladies.
Wait till we're done, okay? After they speak, I'll give you a chance. What?
Oh, God. You don't respect veterans.
What we were going to do, and I failed to do it primarily because I was rattled. Thank you. Bye-bye. Call me Chris Wallace. We would like to open things with the Pledge of Allegiance. So before we begin the questioning, if we'll rise, the flag is right here behind me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we will begin the questioning. And again, as I say, I will let the candidates draw, and then they will have 2 minutes to answer the question. We will begin with Julie. If you'll draw a question, and you may just keep it, and I won't touch it. But I have my own copy over here. Just tell me which one you drew.
Number 4.
Number 4. Yeah, you open yours and go ahead and read it and get ready, and I will read it to the audience. The question is, should appellate judges be appointed, and why or why not?
That's a very, very good question. I was talking to a young lady who attends the University of Colorado Law School a couple months ago, and we were talking about whether judges should be appointed by the governor or whether they should be elected. And she made some good points about why an appointment is good, but my argument to her was that I answer to you. This is a job that we as a public hold, and that we ask someone to do this job for us, same as all our other elected officials. These are just jobs that you need people to fill. And so I feel like I'm in a job interview, and I'm asking you, I'm telling you I'm the most qualified candidate, and if you find that I am, and you've looked at my qualifications and you determine that's so, then you'll want to hire me for the job. It's not my seat, it's not my job, it's a job that we all have. That's why we're a representative republic. We ask people to represent us in our republic. It's my opinion that elected is the way to go. I mean, trust me, it's a real burden, especially in a year like this with COVID. It's been really hard to do what we normally do in an election year, but the bottom line is it's my job to get out there and make sure that you know who I am, and that you know that I'm the most qualified candidate, and that you understand why it's important to keep me in this job. I worry about appointments because you have political partisans in the governor's house and in the legislature and the executive branches, and if they're going to appoint people that are like-minded as them, then we're going to end up with a partisan court system as well. And my goal is to make sure that that virus that infects the legislative and executive branches never infests the court system. So I do believe that answering to the public is the way to go, and that's what a representative republic is all about. So I do believe that we should be elected and not appointed.
Okay. And if you would like to draw and tell me what number you drew.
It is number 3.
The question for Betty is, what traits do you possess that would be most helpful as an appellate judge?
Well, an appellate judge needs to have a number of traits. It's sort of a conglomeration that makes a good appellate judge. An appellate judge should understand the law, have insight into it from all the angles, be able to research things, committed, diligent in the performance of their duties. They have to be thoughtful and have to understand that every single case that comes before the Court of Appeals may be the final last step in getting justice for those litigants. This is truly, a lot of cases don't go to the Supreme Court. An appellate judge also has to have an understanding and a dedication to the Constitution and the separation of powers, an independent judiciary. I believe in the fierce independence of the judiciary. An appellate judge has to be studious and willing to do the hard work, because there is no shortcut to justice. You have to put in the time, and so we don't want rubber stamp judges on the Court of Appeals. So I think that those are some of the qualities. Thoughtfulness in every matter. Compassion is a good thing. Understanding things, asking the questions, preparation, again, is key, because you have attorneys who come in and argue a case, and it's really important that you ask the questions that need to be asked while that person is there, so that they can address whatever concerns a judge might have, and have a chance to present that on behalf of those they represent. And then finally, you have to be able to write in a way that will make it understandable for not only the lawyers, but the parties and the public, and those who will look to those decisions in the future.
All right, thank you. Now we reverse it, and the second question, Betty gets to choose first.
I get to talk some more.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Number 5. The question is, in what programs outside of the judiciary are you involved?
Thank you for the question. I am a member of the Akron Bar Association, the Ohio State Bar Association. I also am a a lifetime member of the Lakeview United Methodist Church, where I learned a lot of things that have carried me well through life. I am a part of I've worked extensively with, well, I won't say extensively, but I've worked a lot with Habitat for Humanity. I also have been engaged with the Humane Society, both of the United States and Summit County. I have participated in many activities of the Barberton Area Christian Ministries. That's where I grew up, although I live in Copley now. I have been, of course, engaged, as you know, in public service, so there have been a number of things that I have participated in along the way as a public servant, working with our food pantries and food banks, Common Threads, which is a store that is run by our church, which provides clothing and goods to people free of charge. So those are some of the activities that I am involved in beyond what I would do on the judiciary.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And another question over here to Julie. Number
2.
2. The question is, what specific areas of experience in the law would you bring to the court?
Well, having served on this court for the past 6 years and having been a municipal court judge before that, the cases that we hear in this court are cases that everyday people do in their lives. We do, like as I said before, juvenile law. I was a guardian ad litem and a CASA out of juvenile court in Summit County. I represented parents, I represented children. In domestic relations court, I had many clients doing divorce, dissolution, child custody, child support, spousal support cases, probate, estate administration, will contests, adoptions, civil land sales, civil cases, personal injury disputes, business formations. I've done a lot of different types of the cases that we hear every day in our court. This is individual cases that people bring to us that came from these courts. I practiced in these courts. I was a judge in one of these courts, and I'm a judge in this one now. I have 6 years worth of experience in this current seat. So I would argue that I have all the experience that's necessary to come to the court. And I think that it's important that knowledge in the actual things that we do every day, experience matters, and experience matters in the cases that we hear every day. The case law is established throughout the state. As my opponent said, the Supreme Court of Ohio doesn't hear a lot of cases. They only hear maybe 100, 130 cases a year. So essentially, the Court of Appeals is the court of last resort for most litigants. So it's important that that role be filled by someone who knows what's going on in that role. In the times of COVID as well, again, we haven't been in our court since March. We don't plan to go back till at least next year. There's no plans to go back this year. I think the citizens of the district would be well served by maintaining some stability in this time of uncertainty. And I think I'm the best candidate for this job, and the experience that I have would certainly bring everything I need to the court.
All right, we'd like to thank Julie Schaefer and Betty Sutton for being with us this evening.
Thank you for the chance to be here.
We will be taking a little bit of extra time this year because of some friends of mine have little kids, and they always say, stupid COVID. And because of stupid COVID, we're going to sanitize each spot after each candidate. So thank you, Betty. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
And my sanitizers, get to work. In the meantime, I would like to thank Pete and Kim Cook. They are our timekeepers this year. Stand up and take a bow, Cooks. That's all right. As we get ready, as we clean up, things happen, and I apologize to Katerina Cook, whose name is not Katrina, it is Katerina, and it was just an oversight, and I apologize for that. Pardon me? It is correct in the program, so that's what you'll take with you because she's not taking that with her. Are we all sanitized? So if Connie and if Katerina could take their places up here on the dais, we'd like to move along. This time, I'm switching things every time I go back and forth between the candidates. We're going to give you the first 2 minutes, and please pronounce your first name for me so I don't say it wrong.
It's Connie.
I was right.
You are correct.
I was all right. Connie Hightower will be first to give her 2-minute background speech.
May I remove my
You
mask?
may indeed.
Thank you.
It's up to the candidates because of where they're seated. I don't think there's a problem.
Okay, thank you. And how does the timekeeping? I'm sorry, I was trying to watch.
2 minutes, and then they'll give you 30 seconds.
So what
15.
they flash is how much I have left?
Yes.
Okay, all right, just making sure. Thank you, I appreciate it. And you'll tell me when to start?
You may start whenever you like.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Connie Hightower, and I want to be your next domestic relations court judge. I would like to thank you for this opportunity in my beautiful hometown of Stow, Ohio. Yes, I'm from here. I went to Echo Hills, I went to Kimpton, and I graduated from Stow Monroe Falls High School. I am a lifelong area resident. Summit County is my home. I care about this county and the people in it. I'm also an Akron Municipal Court magistrate. I practiced law for 12 years in domestic relations, criminal, civil, probate, juvenile, and appellate law. I was an adjunct professor of law for 11 years, and I have represented hundreds of clients for little to no pay, sometimes at the worst points in their lives. I have been appointed by almost every single judge in this county on a nonpartisan basis to represent indigent clients and or families. I have volunteered my time with county drug courts, youth sports, and faith-based organizations. Our community is stressed, and we need relief. Generational cycles need to be broken. Through proper holistic court services, divorce mediation, and early intervention, we need to relieve some of the stress on court families, particularly the children. A psychologist once told me that PTSD on children of divorce and custody is significant. The shorter the duration of the case and the more insulated they are, the better. I have been a part of creating programs to break generational cycles, reduce case duration, and help families heal, and I will continue to do so as a judge. My judicial race is unique. My opponent is currently a judge on the court but running for the opposite open seat, meaning a vote for me is a vote for someone you know to be the next judge. A vote for her will create a vacancy on the court, which would result in the appointment of an unknown person for judge after the election. Our votes matter. The next judge should be elected by the voters. I have practiced the law, I have taught the law, and I have adjudicated the law. I know I can make a difference on this court because I care about people. And that is why I want to be the next judge of Summit County Domestic Relations Court.
Thank you, Katerina Cook. 2 minutes to tell us all about yourself.
Thank you and good evening. I'm Judge Katerina Cook, and I'm running for the open seat on the Summit County Domestic Relations Court bench. I have been on the DR bench. First of all, I want to address my opponent's concerns. I've been on the DR bench for 3 years. There is much that can be done to improve the court. I will become administrative judge in January, and with only 2 years remaining on my current term, there simply is not enough time to develop and implement the necessary long-awaited changes to improve this court and therefore benefit the citizens for Summit County. True, the governor will temporarily appoint someone to my original seat, but that person must run for election, so every citizen can vote for their choice for judge. Let's concentrate on this race. There's 3 things I'd like you to remember. As a judge, I already have the necessary experience for the position. I'm tried and true. I have a concrete plan ready to put in place if elected. Most importantly, I will be able to continue my life's work to protect the welfare of children. First, I've been a judicial officer for nearly 15 years. Last year, as your DR judge, I created the Family Recovery Court program, which provides parents a support framework when dealing with the effects of mental issues or drug or alcohol issues. I was elected in 2009 and re-elected in 2013 at the Akron Municipal Court as judge and presided over the OVI court. Before that, I was a magistrate for 4 years. Secondly, if elected, I will first create a parenting time schedule with options because families are unique and there can't be a one-size-fits-all standard order of parenting. Secondly, I'll create a help desk to provide guidance to our diverse and underprivileged persons that can't afford counsel. I will collaborate with the University of Akron School of Law to create a legal clinic. Lastly, throughout my professional and private life, I've been an advocate for children. I've been a prosecutor specializing in child sex abuse cases. I volunteered for years coaching middle school mock trial teams. This court is not just about being a judge. That was already in my wheelhouse. Here you have to manage decisions coming in from 10 magistrates daily. My court rapidly responds to families in crisis. I submit to you that I'm the better candidate in this race. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will go to the timed questions. We once again will begin with Connie. If you'll draw one of these out of the basket. Tell me what number you have there.
Number 3.
Number 3. All right, the question that Connie will be answering: what specific programs would you like to see implemented in the domestic relations court?
Thank you. Specifically, a few programs. First of all, I did mention divorce mediation. Currently in Summit County Domestic Relations Court, there are different types of mediation. Divorce mediation is not one of them. I understand that there's some complexities to divorces, including financial issues, but mediation process can allow people to bring their issues to the table, can allow them to heal some of the difficulties that have brought them to the particular court, and can also have them have some sort of decision that they can jointly agree with without having to have a judge or a magistrate make that decision for them. That is important in the long-term health of a family, particularly a family with children. I'd also like to see a holistic approach to the court, where I'd like to see that there would be a social service type program that is available for early intervention, so that when somebody in a domestic violence situation or a situation where they are they are struggling and having difficulties with, they can go to that resource and they can find out exactly places that they can go, people they can turn to, and assistance, whether financially or not, which will help to break some of those cycles. The generational cycles that I talk about are cycles that permeate from grandparents to parents to children, in which families suffer year after year, generation after generation. Offering early intervention and holistic approaches, offering healthy ways for families to resolve situations at their most difficult times, those types of programs will help heal the families, help protect the children, and also help ensure that Summit County Domestic Relations Court will help ease the stress we have on our population. This court can reach more than 50% of our population, regardless to socioeconomic, sex, creed, color, sexual orientation. This court has a responsibility to help break the stress and generational cycles of this county, and I believe that those programs will assist in that.
Thank you. Katerina, if you'll draw a question. And what number did you draw?
5.
5. What would be your greatest strength as a domestic relations judge?
Well, I guess we would have to put this in a different tense. I'm already a domestic relations judge. So one of the greatest strengths that I think that other people have said about my work that I've done at Akron Municipal Court and then at Domestic Relations Court is that I have a very strong work ethic. And there is so much to be done at Domestic Relations Court each and every day. I already mentioned that, you know, I have to look at the decisions of 10 magistrates daily, and I have to check their work and approve it, and then there's objections and there's motions to set aside to deal with, on top of the fact that when I have a trial, oftentimes those decrees that have to be written, which I write myself, are 80 pages long. It takes an incredible amount of time to do that. And so I do put the work in, I put the time in at the court to get that work done and to get it done in a timely fashion so that people are not waiting for their decisions. And as I said, we do rapidly respond to the citizens, the people that appear before us. And so I would say that my greatest strength as a domestic relations court judge is the fact that I'm conscientious and that I work. Thank you.
All right. Next round of questions, you get to begin. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's number 4.
I'm sorry, what number?
Number 4,
4, all right.
the number of boys I have.
Ah. The common perception of the domestic relations court is that many decisions are made solely about money. How would you change that perception?
Well, once again, the tense isn't correct. I am a judge there, and I have changed that perception already. Many times we have people that appear on what they call ex parte hearings, and or they try to file an ex parte motion. That means they try to come in just by them and not let the other side. They want to come in first, and I'm always saying you have to have an emergency hearing. We said an emergency hearing. We bring both people in, and when we start to have that discussion, inevitably somebody starts to talk about child support. Well, if I have the kids all this time, then I shouldn't pay child support. And I'm always quick to say, you wanted to have your child, visitation, custody, you wanted to change it. We're going to talk about that later. If this is what you really want, you want time with your children, we'll talk about the money later. So I always stress with them, it's not about the time with your children, that equates to how much money you spend on child support. It's the fact that you had time with your children. That's the most important thing. There is a certain part of this that necessarily when you're ending a marriage, you have a divorce and you have to separate property and you have to determine what child support is and spousal support is. So that is necessarily one of the things that we have to do, but I've always stressed that at court, like I said, my life's work is making sure the best interest of children are represented and taken care of first. And secondly, as far as monetary issues, that's the second thing that's important in our court. Thank you for the question.
And the last question goes to you, Connie.
I never like to take the top one.
All right. And
That's
that is
number one.
Number one, all right. The question is, discuss a major dilemma that confronts the domestic relations court.
Well, I believe probably almost everything that is in the domestic relations court presents a dilemma. I mean, you certainly have families that are fighting amongst people they used to love at one point in time. You have parents that are fighting over a child and the child loves both parents. Domestic relations court is a court of equity, and one needs to look at everything every situation as it appears in front of the court and make a decision. When you're dealing with marriages that are being dissolved or parties are getting divorced, you've got to decide, equitable distribution of property, what happens with spousal support, various things like that. That poses a dilemma in every single case. As I indicated, I've had 12 years of practice. I've practiced largely in domestic relations, largely in legal custody cases and child support and various areas that that the court covers, and a dilemma arises in every single case. That's why it's important to have judges. It's important to have magistrates that have that experience to know how to resolve those dilemmas. They've seen them in practice. They've seen the effect that they have done in families, not just when they appear in front of them, but once those families have left, they've been able to see the effect of those decisions on families. Recently, there was a law that was passed, I believe last November, in which the legal custody cases came over from the juvenile court and just the purely legal custody cases and came over to domestic relations court. That definitely posed a dilemma. You now had guardian ad litems and practitioners and various parties that were used to going to juvenile court coming to domestic relations court. That's a major issue that was confronted by the court. I believe that there are some ways that can be honed in to be a little bit more efficient and positively affect some of the families in that area, but that also would be a dilemma that has appeared before the court.
Thank you. Thanks to both Connie Hightower and Katerina Cook for being with us this evening. And now we sanitize. I was going to say I didn't want to. I don't like to bring these things up when they're introduced, but yes, she was my student once upon a time, and it's good to see you. Did you hear? She still called me Mr. Steven. Yeah. Yes. Yes. The committee decided if a candidate does show and his or her opponent is not here, we are still giving them time to introduce themselves for their 2 minutes and then to answer 2 questions as they would if their opponent had been here. So my next situation, I think, let me double check. No, because I don't think either one of them. Yes, yes. Yes, Mr. Chapman is here, correct? Mr. Chapman, you are here, right? Because we knew that Eileen was not going to be here. But he indicated that he would be here. I don't want to, are you here, John Chapman? Going once? Do you know him? Do you know what he looks like? All right. He's not here. Therefore, we don't have to sanitize. We just have to change labels, and we'll move right on to Michael B. Washington and Sherry Bevan Walsh. Now we know that. No. Yes. Yeah. We know that Sherry Bevan Walsh is not here because she is still in quarantine. Poor thing. But we will give you a chance as if she were. It'll sort of be the same thing. We'll give you 2 minutes to speak about yourself, and then I'll give you 2 questions. So, anytime you're ready to begin, you can take it off. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Fine with me, and I'm the moderator.
Well, no, I appreciate that. All right, so I can start whenever?
Whenever, and they
All
will
right.
start taming you whenever you start talking.
All right, that's grand.
It's only fair.
It's a exquisite setup here. I
Yes,
like it.
we do.
Very, very simple. I like that. My name is Michael Washington. I presently live in Cuyahoga Falls with my wife and 2 stepchildren, and I've been an attorney for 18 years. I'm running for county prosecutor because I'd like to bring a sense of honor and integrity back to that office. I'd like to put the county in a position where they don't have to read about stories in the newspaper in relation to mistreatment of employees, and also put the county in a position where they have a prosecutor working for them that doesn't overcharge things and underconvict things. A lot of the things that I've done in the past, I have more than a decade's worth of experience as a assistant prosecutor and county prosecutor in southeastern Ohio. I'm a small business owner. I own my own law firm, and I also run a firearms marksmanship training company that, in addition to training civilians to use firearms for concealed carry purposes, I also train and advise people on competition shooting, as well as I have in the past assisted various police academies in assisting to train cadets. As I said before, briefly, I do live in Cuyahoga Falls. I've lived in the Summit County area for approximately 5 years. I actually grew up in Cuyahoga County, but I came down here for college in Akron University, went to law school at University of Akron as well. And I'm here today to ask for your vote and your support and thank everyone for coming.
All right. Well, we're going to do the questions as if somebody else were here. You can draw one, and then I'll come back with the basket again later. Okay. And what number did you draw?
Question number 2.
Number 2. The question he drew is, how would you establish a good working relationship with the many law enforcement agencies in Summit County?
First off, I would answer my phone. When I was a prosecutor in Southern Ohio, I gave every law enforcement agent in the county my cell phone number. They were able to reach me anytime, day or night. If there was a situation that happened midnight, 2, 3 a.m., they called me, I'd be out there. I'd go to crime scenes. I would do everything I could to support them and help them build their cases. Establishing a good working relationship is something that can be fairly simple if you're open to communicating with people, if you're open to understanding their perspective of things, what they need, and what tools they may need, what tools you can help provide for them, either through grant funding or just working with them. I would cross-train my assistants to work closely with law enforcement, and I would want to be in a position to essentially help them build their cases and prevent mistakes from happening, prevent issues from arising that shouldn't happen, and assist them in any way possible. It's something that I think prosecutors in the courtroom don't necessarily understand everything that cops have to go through on the street. They don't understand all of the troubles that are brought up during any given shift, and that's something that I would want to have every one of my employees keep in mind in dealing with law enforcement. The fact of the matter is that the county prosecutor's office is set up by statute to be a coexisting law enforcement agent with the sheriff's office. It's something that is very important to have a good relationship with all law enforcement, and I think having open lines of communication is the first step in doing that.
All right, thank you for that. You get to draw another one.
I don't get a break. I feel like
No,
I'm on the
no,
hot
you
seat
don't.
here. I'm being grilled heavily under the lights.
You are.
Okay. Question number 4.
4, all right.
I like the little smiley faces.
You like those?
Nice touch.
Those are my stickers, aren't they? I found those stickers. Are you in favor of no cash bonds for felons? Explain your position.
All right. Well, this is a very interesting question. And I would have to break that down into subparts, and here's why. For certain offenses that are nonviolent felonies, those might be ones that I might be in favor of a no cash bond, depending on the situation there. For violent felonies, it would be a situation where I think, and this is every argument I've ever made in front of a court, in front of a judge, in relation to bond, the first thing I do say is, and this is under statute, any bond, any amount of bond is within the sound discretion of the court. Judges can decide whether or not to release someone on a signature, whether to require a 10% feature, whether to require straight cash if you have a individual facing a heinous rape or murder charge, and the judge decides to hold them without bond based upon a motion from the prosecutor, that may be appropriate as well. It all depends on the case. It all depends on the situation. And I think that judges should have that discretion. And there are times when, as a former prosecutor, I was befuddled by judges that would let people out with light bonds. But as a defense attorney now, there are times when even a very serious crime, depending on that specific individual, in their background, whether or not they may be a flight risk. If they're not a flight risk, maybe a lower cash bond or a non-cash bond would be appropriate. It all depends on the case. And it's something that I think is very important for judges to have discretion over those decisions. And I know that doesn't quite answer the question, but it's something that there's a dual role there.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and we understand that time is up.
All right.
So we'd like to thank Mr. Washington for being with us this evening. Since we have no opponent, we're done with this particular set. Thank you. And we only need this side sanitized, Janet, so you get to stay seated. once again, we have a race where the two candidates will not be here. We were told both would be here, but one. That's what I was saying. I was about to finish the sentence. When we don't have one opponent named Mike Razor here, we do have Sandra, and she will be doing exactly what I did the last time. I'll be giving her 2 minutes to talk about herself and ask her 2 of the regular questions. What I was saying, or beginning to say, is he was supposed to be here, but something came up at the last minute. So, I mean, he was on our schedule. I have a Y by his name, which means yes, but it's a big no. So, Sandra Kurt is our candidate here, and she will be given 2 minutes to talk about herself, and then I'll give you 2 questions.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Thank you to the committee for putting this evening together. I know it takes a lot of time and effort, and I appreciate it, so the voters can hear about their options. I have served as your clerk of courts for 5 years, and I humbly ask you to rehire me for another term. The clerk of courts is an administrative job. I manage 75 staff in 5 offices spread throughout the county who take in a combined $144 million annually, and I manage a $7 million annual operating budget. Clearly, the clerk must be someone who is above reproach. I am that clerk. In our legal division, I've used my industrial engineering experience to take a paper-based process to a completely electronic process. Summit County is unique in that we developed our own system working with consultants. We didn't buy it off the shelf. I hear all the time from attorneys that practice in multiple counties that they prefer our system best. It's easy to learn and easy to use. We completed our modernization to all electronic filing a couple of years ago. When COVID-19 hit earlier this year, we were able to continue serving our customers and the courts seamlessly without interruption, even with attorneys working from their home. In the title division, we process automobile titles, boat titles, and passport applications, and also take passport photos. I added weekend and evening hours to our title offices so that you busy people can get your title and passport work done when it's convenient for you. My responsibility includes managing the Certificate of Title Fund. By attracting title business from other counties, I've grown this fund every year. And every year I contribute an average of $1 million back to the county general fund to help fund the prosecutor's office and the sheriff's department. In fact, I provided Summit County with $2.4 million, allowing the county to avoid borrowing these funds, saving you $600,000 in fees and interest. To sum up, I have served as your clerk responsibly for 5 years, using my industrial engineering experience to improve operations, make it easier for you to get your work done.
You can finish a sentence right now. Now you get to choose a question. And you chose number?
Number 4.
Number 4.
I don't have a smiley face, though. I have a star.
Well, you are.
All right, okay.
So am I.
Well, we all know that, Don.
No, just because I have a tie that has star.
Oh.
All right, the question that she drew. What makes Summit County Clerk of Courts different from other counties and different from municipal clerk of courts?
So Summit County is different because we're a charter county. Cuyahoga is also a charter county, but their clerk is not elected. Their clerk is appointed by the executive. And being a charter county, I work with the various offices differently than other counties do. And different from the municipal clerks is, number one, I have the title division, which municipal clerks don't have. But also municipal clerks work with anywhere from 2 to 5 judges, whereas I work with 10 general division judges, 2 domestic relations judges, and 5 courts of appeal judges. So I work with 17 different judges. So that's perhaps a little more challenging than working with 2 or 5. But they're good folks, we work well together, and but that's really the key differences that makes us different from other counties and different from the municipal clerks.
All right. Draw again.
I'm gonna go to the bottom of the barrel.
Okay. And that is number?
Number 2.
How can the clerk of courts protect individuals' privacy?
Well, we already do. So all of our systems, while we have documents and everything online, any kind of personal information is redacted. So we have it internally that goes with the court records, but nobody else can see that. Other court staff can't see it. The other parties on the case can't see it. It's all protected. And it's really a very important thing, especially in this day and age where people's identities are being stolen so often. But we've not ever had any problems at all with our records, and that's something that we will continue to protect with every fiber of my being.
And so be it.
All right.
I am sorry that Mr. Razor was not able to join us, but please, let's thank Sandra Kurt for being here. We're going to, next, I want Janet to do a little work, so we're going to put the next candidate over here. And again, folks, it is a race where only one candidate is here for Summit County Sheriff. Shane Barker is here, and we'll have him down at this end. Again, Mr. Barker, you will be given 2 minutes to talk about yourself, and then I'll give you 2 questions. Okay. All right? So anytime you're ready to begin, our timekeepers will start keeping time.
Good evening. My name is Shane Barker. I'm running for Summit County Sheriff's Office. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. The local elected officials, they can do more for your life because they're elected to be your guides and your community leaders here within the community. It's very important to get to know them. So I retired last August as a captain with the Sheriff's Office. In my tenure there, I ran the Summit County DUI Task Force. Our first checkpoint was here in your city in front of the high school back in 2005. When I got promoted to captain in 2011, I was assigned to the jail as administrative captain. During my time in the jail, when I got there, it was right after the Great Recession. We had laid off 40 deputies. We shut down both gymnasiums. We had almost no programs for inmates. The sheriff appointed me to the Jail Oversight Advisory Commission, and by the time I retired 2 years later, we had implemented almost every one of their recommendations, including shutting down the Glenwood Jail. We put the deputies on 12-hour shifts. We brought back both gyms. We brought back Narcotics Anonymous. We brought back chapel service. We went to a different booking system. We increased the security of the jail. We put in 240 cameras into the jail with HD cameras and audio and video cameras. I also served 9.5 years on Macedonia City Council. The reason I wanted to do this is that in all my time working at the Sheriff's Office on the jail advisory in Macedonia, I knew that I could reach across any proverbial aisle and get things done. I have a record of getting things done at the Sheriff's Office and in the city of Macedonia. And the current sheriff is retiring, Steve Barron. He's endorsed me for this position.
All right. Well, thank you. Now we'll have you draw a question.
Okay.
And that is question
Number 5.
Oh, we're back to the smiley faces. Sorry. Well,
Okay.
you're going to, the question is, no, you drew it fair and square. What experience do you bring to this office?
Well, and there may have been some things I missed. I get, it's kind of nerve-wracking to speak in public, but so I worked at the Sheriff's Office in all divisions. I worked in patrol, I worked in the jail, I worked in patrol as a sergeant, as a lieutenant, I worked in the jail as a deputy, a sergeant, a lieutenant, and a captain. So I bring that experience with me. I also bring experience of working on another elected position. It was a nonpartisan race in the city of Macedonia, and we had to get things done there for our citizens. We had to get roads built. We had to get bridges built. Literally, we built 2 bridges in my term there. I was in the Charter Review Commission, so I took apart the charter that the city had that runs the government, and we came up with new ideas to do it. When I first got on council, we had 6 council people. I said, no, we need to have 5. We need to have an odd amount, because at the time, the mayor was breaking the ties of the council. The mayor should be in executive position. At the Sheriff's Office, again, I served in the Jail Commission, And I was gonna retire and leave, but we had such great success on this jail commission, the reports available out there, and I knew that we got so much stuff done. I knew that I could sit down, and I know that in today's day and age, law enforcement, we're being looked at, and we should be looked at. And the good thing about the sheriff's office, more than any other type of law enforcement, if whoever the sheriff is, you elect them. If they don't do a good job, you can get rid of them. That's not to disparage the local police departments, but the sheriff is the elected official. There's no other way in the state that I know of that you have direct say over how your law enforcement's run. We patrol 5 districts throughout Summit County. I've worked in all of those districts. I know how to get it done. I did it in all ranks. But more importantly, I know that if we lose the trust of the people, we lose all of our authority, and we cannot do that. And I'm going to work hard to gain that back.
All right, how about another question? That's
Number 4.
If a felon is resisting arrest and a taser has no effect, what is your policy? Please explain.
So if the taser has no effect, it's obviously not working for a reason. You could try to reapply it again. There's two prongs that come out, and if both of them don't get you, you can pull the cartridge off and try to take the actual stun device and stun them again. But then if that's not working, there's obviously a reason that device is not working. It's called an intermediate weapon. We can go to our pepper spray. The problem with pepper spray is it also gets the deputy that's involved in it. Muscling techniques, and hopefully by the time we get to the point that we're using the taser, there are other deputies on scene, and we can help to secure the person. We train an awful lot. We need to train more. We don't train near enough. We need to train in de-escalation training so we don't get to the point where we have to use the taser. I learned very quick on Route 8 heading north. I live in Macedonia. One night getting off, I made a traffic stop, and I was having trouble making the arrest. So in order to make the arrest, you have to be able to sometimes talk your way out of the bad situation. That's something that I will when I come into office, I will make sure that deputies, we already go through the escalation training, but they need to go through more of it. We need to have more scenario-based training so that things that they may or may not see in the road, they know how to deal with. So before we even get to the taser, I'd like to see all of my staff, all the deputies that will be in the county that everybody here lives in, has the de-escalation training they need so you don't have to use the tasers. We don't want to do it. Nobody wants to do that. Sometimes it's a necessity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You're finished with that question? Okay, all right, thank you. Let's have a round of applause for Shane Barker. Now Janet has to go back to work. Again, folks, I'm sorry to tell you that neither candidate for Summit County Fiscal Officer, Kristen Scalise, or J.F. Ayula, was able to be with us tonight. So we'll be actually going to the last candidates, and that is Summit County Council District Number 3, Gloria Rogers and Louis Baradaran. So we will see them as soon as Janet does her job. And once again, I will follow the way it's printed in the program. Gloria Rogers will speak first, then Mr. Baradaran, then we'll reverse it on the questions. So 2 minutes to tell us all about yourself, Gloria.
Got it. Gloria Rogers, I'm so happy to be here and happy for this opportunity. Thank you to the people who put this together, and it's a lot of hard work, and I appreciate it. My husband and I live here in Stow. I was actually raised in Stow, went through the Stow school system. My 2 children were raised here. I have 2 children and 7 grandchildren, the delight of my life. I am currently a charge nurse at Portage Path Emergency Services. That's a psychiatric emergency room for the county. And I'm currently serving in my 3rd term on county council. I serve both at the county and at the state level. At the county level, locally, I am on the Opiate Task Force, Infant Fetal Mortality Review Board, Child Fatality Review Board. At the state level, I serve on the State Jail Advisory Commission. I am the chairman for the Regional Metropolitan Committee for our County Commissioners Association, representing the 11 largest counties in the state, working to bring legislation to the House and the Senate. Currently, I'm serving as a member of the Ohio Municipal League's Committee on Racism. I serve on several council committees also. I'm a member locally of the Stow Monroe Falls Chamber, the Cuyahoga Falls Chamber. I am a past president of the Clock Tower Rotary of Hudson. It's very important to have balance. Balance is important in any political committee. 4 years of one term, I was the only Republican out of 11 people on the committee. I have been 2 members out of 11, and in the last year and a half, we've had 3 members. I work hard at my job. I read my legislation, I study, I ask questions, and I bring those questions to the administration and to council. I would like to ask for your support November the 3rd for my final term on county council. I will work hard. Thank you.
Lou Broderick, 2 minutes to tell us all about yourself.
Well, thank you very much, and I would like to especially thank the Citizens for Nonpartisan Politics of Stow for this holding this program this evening. I'm a 14-year resident of Silver Lake. Prior to moving to Silver Lake with my wife and 2 children, we were residents in Cuyahoga Falls. I also had 12 years experience of working in the Summit County Executive's Office. For 2.5 years, I also served as the district director for United States Congressman Tom Sawyer. Since 2004, I've been operating my own business. I am a community and government affairs consultant. I have a wide variety of clients, which include the Mayor's Association of Portage, Stark, and Summit Counties, as well as the Ohio Municipal League. I believe that I am uniquely qualified for this position. I bring bipartisan leadership to County Council. I also am concerned that the residents of our district have not really had a strong advocate, and I pledge to be that advocate. And I humbly ask for your vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll begin the questions. Draw 1, Gloria.
Number 2.
Number 2. Oh, you did get a smiley face. All right. I'll make sure next year they're all smiley faces. All right. What does the county do for the city of Stow? And what do you, as direct representative, plan to do? Please explain.
We do a lot for the city of Stow. The city of Stow, though, has the ability to make its own laws and its own decisions, but we as a county also have control over the sheriff's department, the sewer department, which we use here in Stow, although Stow uses the water department of Akron. We have the ability to work with the city of Stow. Right now, we're addressing a possible dispatch center, a consolidated dispatch center for the city of Stow. And I hold meetings in Stow. When I've had sewer issues in Stow, I brought the head of the sewer department here, and we sat down and discussed the issues. We have had road issues here in Stow, and I have brought together citizens and the leaders of both county government and city government to sit down and discuss issues. There's a very symbiotic relationship between what the county does and does with the different cities in our district, and it works very, very well.
Thank you. Lou, if you will draw. And you drew number
1.
Number 1. How would you work with the county executive to attract new industry and commerce to Summit County?
Well, I think that's exactly one of my strongest attributes for this job. I have a wonderful working relationship with Summit County Executive Eileen Shapiro. In fact, Eileen has endorsed me for this position, as well as a host of other county officials, and as well as your mayor here in Stow, John Probonic, your council person at large, Kyle Feldman, and the Stow Clerk of Courts, Amber Zibratowski. So I bring all of those relationships to this position. I have traveled on a number of economic development missions with the county executive. At that time, she was the president of county council and also the chair of the Economic Development Committee. I think what we have tried to do is develop a strategy to attract businesses where we can create partnerships with existing businesses here in this district, where we can help them expand opportunities and create those jobs that our young people will have a choice to stay here in this community and buy their homes and raise their families. So I am on this. We have a very strong working relationship, and that will be very beneficial for the residents of District 3.
All right, you get another one, right in a row. Number
3.
Number 3. What is the most important and challenging issue facing District 3, and what is your solution?
Well, I think the most challenging issue in District 3 from the residents and the officials that I've met in Hudson and in Stow and in Silver Lake and in Cuyahoga Falls has to do with infrastructure improvements. I think that we need to develop a strategy to address those infrastructure needs, stormwater management, improving the roads, improving the sidewalks, and that's all things that we can do in conjunction with the county. The county executive's office can be extremely helpful in that, as well as the county engineer's office. I have worked with both elected officials who serve in those positions, and I believe the only way we're going to address them is by getting to the table with the right leaders and talking about how we could fund these issues and how we can best help make those improvements. I think the other challenge is creating the jobs so we could keep our young people here and attract those businesses or create those partnerships that create those jobs that will keep them here. So I think there are two big challenges.
All right. And the last question goes to you, Gloria Rogers.
Thank you. Tom, take the bottom one.
Okay.
Number 4.
4. What county agencies do you see as having the greatest needs and why? How would you effect any changes?
Very good question. First of all, I want to say that I work extremely well with administration and extremely well with my co-counsel, and am known for the hard work I do. And I would again say that we need diverse representation, not all one party on council. When we talk about this question about needs and why, just recently, we've had a significant issue with this COVID virus, and our county received $94.4 million, one of 7 communities in the state, because we had over 500,000 people. So we had to decide how to spend that money. What did we need to do? We have used multiple agencies. We've used Jobs and Family Services. We've used the Akron Foundation. We've used United Way. We have used the Akron Community Foundation. And we have gone out and we have supplemented pays. We have done 3 rounds of small business support. We did a round of minority business support. We have now addressed rent, utilities, and mortgage issues, because when you don't work, you don't pay those bills, and we've just done a second round. One of my big concerns was nonprofits in our county and schools. Those are most important. And at the beginning of this process, I went to administration, I said, look, schools have needs, they don't have the money to address the needs, such as sanitation of the schools, and nonprofits are going without funding. Well, a week ago, we just passed $7 million for schools. Of the 17 systems in the county, it's $100 a student, and we just set up a $6 million fund for nonprofits. Both of those are addressing the needs that our community has and using multiple agencies, using multiple facilities to make sure that our county needs are met and our citizens are taken care of. And I would ask for your support November the 3rd.
We thank you. And we'd like to thank both Gloria Rogers and Lou Baradaran, our candidates for Summit County Council District 3, for being with us this evening. As is our general plan, we don't have time for questions from the audience. So the candidates who are still here, I know will stick around for a while. If you have questions of them, please address them from now until we've got plenty of time, because it went quickly tonight, didn't it? When candidates don't show up, things move along a lot faster. I do want to thank Jason and Dan back there doing all of the technical work that I have no idea how to go about. But Jason does want you to know that this will now be on YouTube tonight. Just go to the CNP Stow YouTube channel, CNP Stow. So you'll be able to watch yourself and see how well you did and how good you looked, because I know I'll be watching. Thank you for being here. We'll do this again next year, hopefully. Yes. Oh, the issues. I'm sorry. I always forget something. Yes, on the back of your program, we did not want to take up too much time because we figured we'd have lots more to talk about. But anyway, on the back, we have the different issues that will be on the Stow ballot. Issue 47, the Akron Zoo issue. 22. Now this is a toughie. Sale of wine and beer, wine and mixed beverages at Meyer gas station that they're going to be building. Yes, I see you, Karen. That they're going to be building on Kent Road. Issue 23, raise your sign again. We weren't allowing signs inside, but guess what? Yeah, we weren't allowing signs. Remember, that was part of the deal. But, oh, they left them there. Oh, I'm sorry. Whoever was supposed to take them with them left them there. Oh, was that my man? Ah. Well, anyway, issue 23 is a biggie, and I'm not supposed to ever show favoritism one way or another, but you better vote for it. I'm the moderator. I can say what I want. Issue 37 is both 37 and 38 are very important to the schools. They are nothing new. They are simply renewals. So, of course, you will vote for those as well, one way or the other. Yes, Gloria.
May I say something about the zoo levy?
Yeah. What do you think? Sure.
I would really encourage your support of this Akron Zoo. It is a marvelous facility. If you've ever been there, for every dollar that they spend, $8 are brought into our county. We're talking millions of dollars. They do a phenomenal job. So I would really, Sandra agrees with me. I would really. We're not partisan on this. We agree.
Well, I think everybody would agree, and especially some of us older folks who know what the zoo was like a long time ago. It is phenomenal what it is now. It really is.
Wonderful job for our community. And they bring in not only from Summit County, but from all of the counties around.
Yeah.
Wonderful facility. Please consider voting for that.
Well, that's the way you're supposed to say it. See, you're more seasoned at this than I am. Please consider voting for this. I just say vote for it. But I thank you all for being here. We'll be back again next year. No COVID, I'm sure. Everything will be, we'll allow cookies, we'll allow coffee and water, and you'll be able to sit next to your loved ones. So thank you for being here this evening. Good night, everybody. I can take these gloves off now. Oh, my hands are all